We're here with another episode of Sox Talk with Will Middlebrooks. I'm your host, Greg Dudek. Of course, always joined by the 2013 Red Sox World Series champ, Will Middlebrooks. Also now auditioning to be the good luck charm of the Red Sox, coming off a road trip in which the Red Sox took 2 out of 3 from the Rangers, 2 out of 3 from the Royals. Will, how you doing today?
You know what? If we're being honest here and transparent, I'm pretty tired. We rolled in around 4 in the morning. I got in bed about 4:55. But we're recording this later in the day. I've had time. I got my Dunkin' in me.
There you go.
I'm caffeinated. I ate lunch. Lunch, and we're ready to go.
Perfect. Well, let's roll right into it with some Red Sox questions. As we said, you were there with the team for that important road trip as they battle in the American League wild card standings. What's just kind of your one big takeaway coming off of this trip?
Oh man, I don't know if I just have one. I think the thing that stood out the most to me, on a positive note, was this offense is real. At this point, I think we can not just say, oh, they're in a hot streak, this and that. I mean, you go back all the way to the 1st of June, they're first in batting average, they're first in on-base percentage, first in slugging and OPS in all of baseball. So it's not just since the All-Star break. This team's been good for a couple months now, and it's throughout their lineup. Obviously, you have Devers and Duran and these guys who are always going to produce. But having guys like Romy Gonzalez, newly acquired Danny Jansen. You have Massa getting hot.
Yeah, Yoshida's got really
Massa's
hot,
been
right?
really good for an extended period of time now, and I think there were a lot of people starting to write him off. I was critical myself just because of number one, the contract and the money he's being paid. Two, this is year 2 of the deal, so it's like he should be used to playing here now. He should know what to expect. He is accustomed to the travel and the craziness that is Major League Baseball compared to the Nippon Baseball League, which he played for so long. But he's looked really good. I think it's mostly health with him. But I think just looking at the overall offense and the depth that you're seeing 1 through 9, even with, you know, Tyler O'Neill he's been sick for almost a
Yeah,
week, and then it comes out about the infection in his leg, so
infection.
he's going to miss even more time. You're having guys step up, and it's all the way up and down the lineup. Dom Smith. I mean, what are we going to do with Dom Smith when Casas is ready? So there's
Knows
that
how to slide
conversation.
too.
What was that?
Knows how to slide too.
Oh, yeah, we'll go with that. It's like when Buzz Lightyear said, or it's like falling in style, right? It was like his hand kind of got stuck and it kind of forced him into a swim move and it worked out perfectly. Um, that was fun. It was fun to be in the booth for that, going, why are they challenging this? And then we got a really good look at the replay and we're like, he snuck his hand in there. Like, how the heck did that happen? It was fun. But overall, I was very happy with this road trip. There's still some concerns with pitching. The bullpen's looking much better with the newly acquired guys. Martin coming back yesterday was huge as well.
Mhm. You're kind of talking about that offense now. Are you seeing a change in identity from this team? Where, of course, in the beginning of the season, we were, talking a lot about the Andrew Bailey kind of fingerprints all over the starting rotation, right? And now the offense has really come to life. And like you said, kind of 1 through 9, not just one man leading the show. Do you see their identity kind of changing as they're in this, playoff race?
A little bit. I mean, I think it's time we finally give Pete Fatsy some love, right? Because it's so easy to jump all over the hitting coach and the hitting group when the team's struggling, but we don't talk about the behind the scenes work that's going on when these guys are raking for months on end. So you've seen a clear set plan and approach in almost every game when they're going up facing, whether it's Cole Reagans yesterday, who is one of the best lefties in baseball. The first time through the lineup, he kind of showed them what he's going to do. Second time through the lineup, you saw some guys make some adjustments on the inner part of the half where Reagans likes to live and a couple homers to left, right? So it's like there's a clear plan in place, obviously going into the game, but that there's in-game adjustments. You see guys going to the iPads in the dugouts, sitting with the coaches, talking to their teammates. These guys are working together, and it's a constant grind throughout a game at bat to at bat when you're facing elite pitching of making adjustments to your plan because maybe he's pitching differently than what you game plan for to start the game, and then you have to make changes. But there's a lot of young guys maturing as they go. There's a lot of even guys like Rafael Devers who's having maybe one top 2 year of his career. His
Kind of
walk rate
quietly
is
too, right?
what was that?
Kind of quietly too, right? Like
Yeah,
I feel
he
like
is
he's not
because
getting
he's
as
not
much
lighting
love.
the world on fire, but he's doing everything well. He's walking higher at a higher rate than he's ever walked before, which I think shows a maturity in his approach and playing at the plate. And it shows that he's not up there just swinging at everything anymore. He's sitting pitches, and that's just showing him taking that next step to being a superstar.
You were kind of chatting a little bit about earlier before we hopped on about kind of the vibe around this team. And of course, like we were saying, you were there with them on the road. What is kind of the vibe as they head back home? And that schedule's not getting any easier.
No, it's not. It's not. I think they accept the challenge, though. This is a team that just grind and they come to the field looking for a fight and a way to get better every day. And that starts with Alex Cora. And he started to manage these games a little differently too.
Yeah.
You're seeing him start to manage games more playoff like. You're starting to see some bullpen arms up in the fourth, fifth inning when maybe the pitch count's only at 70 or 75 because there's that pocket where the matchup might be better with the top of a lineup versus a fresh arm lefty righty matchup, whatever it may be in the bullpen. So you're starting to see those type moves being made. You're starting to see pinch hits when you might not see them. And that's just a product of look, yeah, game one matters, right? But once you get into August and you're in the mix, not only for the wild card, but they're only 4 or 5 games in the loss column different than some of the best teams in baseball, like Baltimore and New York. So they're not far out of this thing, and they're a hot streak and a cold streak away from being closer to the top of the division. So you're going to see these games be managed like they matter much more. And I think that feel in the clubhouse and them believing that they can compete with the best in baseball and get to the postseason is what's the driving force for this team right now.
Awesome. Well, we're talking about some of the positives, obviously, with the hitting. You kind of mentioned the pitching and the starting pitching. Let's kind of see if your biggest concern is the same as my biggest concern. I think right now it has to be the starting pitching, right? And just kind of the wear and tear on, Cutter Crawford and Tanner Houck, who already are at career innings pitched this season. They haven't looked great, coming out of the All-Star break. Is that your biggest concern, or do you have something else that you
Oh,
see?
that's it. Yeah, we're on the same page. We both watch the same team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, looking at the stats, you go back to June 1st. So we'll say over the last couple months, Pavetta's at a 4.65, Houck is at a 4.82, Crawford's at a 4.9, and Bayo's at almost a 6, a 5.88. Now Bayo has shown to the last couple starts like make some pretty significant steps forward as far as command goes. His pitch usage has changed a touch. He's using certain pitches in certain counts that are differently. So he's mixing his speeds, he's mixing his pitches, but it's all command for Brian Bayo. His stuff has been there even through the worst of times with him. It's still 98 with sink with a good slider and a good changeup. But if you're 2-0 and 3-1 on everyone, it doesn't really matter how nasty your stuff is. So he was getting strike one much more. He was pitching at the bottom of the zone, which is where he's effective. When his sinker and his changeup are elevated, he's going to get hit regardless of the velocity. So his command was better, and I was happy with that. Pavetta could be an issue. I'm a little worried about his elbow. It's as of now he's skipping his next start because of the off day, and then hopefully his second time next the time after that he'll be back. I think they're just giving him a rest. I don't really have a feeling or have any knowledge on if it's an actual injury or if it's just fatigue. It
Yeah.
seems like it's just fatigue at this point. Um, and you said it with Houck and Crawford with them, their innings getting up. So the addition to Paxton, yeah, it's going to help. He looked good against Kansas City. He pitched completely different than he has in his career, really. He's always been like a 50 to 60% fastball usage, and the fastball has always been his best pitch. But he's lost some velocity. He's not 97, 98 anymore. He's pitching more 94, 95, even at 93 at times. So it's all about location with him there, but he threw a lot more curveballs in that outing against Kansas City, and it made his fastball more effective because they at some point had to start looking for the breaking ball, and then the 93 would play up and able to get past barrels at the top of the zone. So that little tweak to his pitch usage, I think, is going to be huge for him going forward with the lack of velocity.
With like guys like Houck and Crawford, if it is they're just kind of running out of gas at this point in the season, how do you kind of correct that or fix that? Do you have to give them? Do you have to skip a start in the rotation? But it's not like this team has terrific starting pitching depth
Right.
either. They can do it once with Pavetta, but who knows if they can do it again if Hauk or
Right.
Crawford need additional rest. Like how do you or how do you feel like Core should approach that? Because if the starters all of a sudden start going 3, 4 innings, that bullpen gets taxed, and you kind of see a domino effect.
Yeah, so had this not happened with Pavetta's elbow, I feel like Crawford might have gotten to skip a start just because of how it's been going with the long ball and his command. Because he's tired, he's gassed at this point in the season. And to your point, it's not like they can IL him and bring up someone. There's really not anyone as far as high upper minors depth for arms. And you hope that changes next year. Obviously, with some moves in the postseason, it could be a domino effect of moving guys to AAA. They're here right now. You have Cooper Criswell, you have Richard Fitz, but there's not much depth, right? And Fitz isn't really ready yet. So you got to hope this draft from this year has some college guys that can hopefully work their way through the system quickly just because they're more mature, they're older, they played 3 years in college already. Um, Something else that I'm hoping can help is just this playoff push. And it's that adrenaline. And it's kind of this part of the year. You hear the dog days of summer. August is the worst month in the big leagues. July is one thing, but you also get a week off in July because of the All-Star break. And then you get into August and you're like, I'm feeling it. From the grind of the season, the travel, the playing every day, whatever it may be, nagging injuries because nobody's 100% right now. But you just got to hope that the feeling inside that clubhouse, the adrenaline of knowing every pitch matters. We need to win every night to give ourselves a chance to get to the postseason. You just got to think that extra pressure to win, which comes with playing in Boston, and that adrenaline from your teammates just rubs off and gets you to the finish line. Because there's not depth. I mean, the guys that are here are the guys they're going to have outside of. And another thing that we're not talking about is rosters don't expand like they used to.
Yep.
You get to add what, two guys now
Yeah,
instead
not
of
many.
whatever, instead of up to 40. So you're not getting a ton of arms anymore. I wish they had it where you could add up to like 30,
Yeah.
30 guys. That way you could add a couple arms and a backup catcher, another catcher, like whatever you need to do. But they don't give you much flexibility anymore on September 1st like they used to. So the guys you have here outside of Boozer, who just got sent down because there's no spot for him at the time. He'll be back because he's been one of the more reliable left arms in the bullpen, period. So he'll be back soon. I don't know, man. They're just gonna have to. I mean,
Doesn't have to
we're
grind through,
watching it.
right?
It's like something's gonna have to change. Whether it's if they don't have their best stuff, you have to start messing with pitch usage and mixing and matching, and then finding a way to get outs. And the offense can only carry you for so long, and they've done it for a while now.
Yeah, absolutely. This is our first time talking since the trade deadline. The Red Sox made 5 trades, 4 guys now contributing at the big league level. Out of that group, which one do you see kind of having the biggest impact down the stretch run here?
Um, for me, it's Sims. I think that he is a high leverage arm. I think they knew that from when they brought him in because his first outing, he was first and third, 1 out here at Fenway. His first game with the Sox, they bring him in, he gets out of it. And he's a guy who's used his cutter and his sweeper a lot in his career, but he's also still throwing a good amount of fastballs. He came over here, it's been spin, 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 which is kind of like what they like here. If you have good breaking pitches and cutters, they like to use them. Because not only is it good against righties, a right-handed reliever with a good sweeper and good cutter can be really effective against left-handed batters too. So you're not just going to bring him in to face right-handed bats. He can get both guys. Luis Garcia is 37 years old. He still throws 97 with sink. He still has good stuff, but he's not really going to be a guy you want to face lefties. He's going to be more effective against the right-handed bats and be able to run that sinker in on the hands of those guys. But I think Sims is going to be the guy. I'm looking at the overall makeup of the bullpen. Martin's back. He came in, struck out the side in that last game versus Kansas
Look
City.
great.
Looked
Yeah.
great. The velocity wasn't 96, 97. He was 93, 94, but the cutter was good. His command was good. So that was a good sign. You got to think Justin Slayton's not far off. Kinley's rested because he didn't throw a lot over the last 10 days or so because a little scare with the back, but then games in which you didn't need him, which was nice. But you're looking at a bullpen full of guys that are capable of getting big outs with runners on, inherited runners, leverage situations, and don't I don't want to get too excited about Liam Hendricks because you never know what you're going to get from a guy coming off Tommy John. But I just love what he brings to the clubhouse. And if he is able to come back in September in any capacity, you got to think. I mean, a few years back, he was one of the best closers in
Yeah,
baseball.
30,
Obviously, he's had
35
surgery
plus
and
saves.
all that. So command could be an issue right out of the gates. Because these guys from Tommy John, they come back, they throw hard again. Everything's built up, so they're nice and strong and fresh. But command could be an issue. It's not the same for everybody, but a lot of times that's the case. But it'll be nice to have him back if he can handle some high leverage situations as well. And then the bullpen's looking pretty good, in my opinion.
Bullpen definitely obviously looks a lot different. Before we get out of here, Will, a couple quick hitters for you. During the Kansas City series, Romy Gonzalez always came up with a big home run in the series finale. Kind of interesting how he came to the Red Sox, right? He got DFA'd by Chicago White Sox in the offseason. Pretty puzzling move, right? I guess with a move like that, do the Red Sox look smart doing that, or the White Sox, who just lost 21 games in a row, look stupid for cutting a guy
I
like Romy Gonzalez, who
I
can
think both
open?
I think both can be correct, right? Like you telling me this guy wasn't good enough to play for your team. I don't know how that didn't work for them, but I'm glad we got him, right? Because he can bounce around the infield. He's obviously got pop. He hit a line drive to center in game two, I believe. It was 452 feet. Like what? What
Where'd
that's
that
not a
power
pit
come
that's a
from?
pitcher friendly park too, and that ball was crushed. And then obviously the big homer yesterday that gave the Sox the lead. But he's a good player. He's a perfect Alex Cora type player. Yes, he played at University of Miami, which helps when Alex Cora is looking at a guy realize thinking if he likes him or not. But he's a Swiss Army knife. You can plug him in, he's gonna give you average defense anywhere. He's a good teammate and he's hitting lefties really well, which this team needs. They need guys to hit lefties. They've struggled against left-handed pitching. He's hitting over 300 versus lefties. Hit a homer off the lefty yesterday. Now in the season, up to like 284, which for a utility guy who doesn't play every day, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, you'll absolutely take that from him. And then finally, last week I talked to one of your 2013 championship team teammates and Jared Saltalamacchia. He's now coaching down in the Cape Cod Baseball League with the Born Braves. His third season doing that. He said he's gotten some interest from some MLB teams to coach, but hasn't been the right situation for him. I was wondering, obviously, you joined the media side and you're fantastic at it, in the booth or in pregame or post game. But when your playing career ended in 2017, was there ever a thought from you that you might want to get into coaching, or
Oh yeah.
did anyone ever approach you? How did that kind of all shake out?
Yeah, there were some offers from multiple teams to come on as like a assistant hitting coach or hitting coach of a minor league team. And I had a lot of interest in that. And then I really sat down and thought about grinding out bus rides all summer and and at the time, um, October of 2018. So I got hurt in spring training of 2018, rehabbed all year, tried to come back, but January of 2019 pulled the plug and decided I couldn't play anymore. But a couple months previous, in October of 18, my oldest daughter was born, our first kid. So that changed the decision too. Not wanting to be gone for 7, 8 months at a time from spring training to the end of the season and missing a lot of her growing up. And then in 2019, we had our second child. And that even more so, I'm like, I can't be gone. I'm gone enough with this job doing, 100 games or so. But I at least, if I'm on the road for 10 days or more, I'll go home for 4 or 5 days before I head out again. So at least it's back and forth. I'm getting to spend time. They'll come to Boston with me too. Don't want to drag them to the minor leagues. And that's not, yeah, it's
That's
not a
not the
grind. It's not a
lifestyle.
grind I wanted to go through again. I love teaching. I love talking about the game. Um, but the hours you put in as a coach, if you want to be a good one, it's a lot. So I think I'm happy where I'm at right now.
Did the Red Sox reach out? Was that one of the teams who reached
There were
out
some
to?
talks. There were never like anything on the table that was like a deal, like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
here's an
nothing.
offer. But the door was always open if I wanted to, because just the relationships I have over here with people that are in the front office from when I was here as a player. So the door was always open for discussion on that. And if I pursued that profession, I think, yeah, I would have probably wanted to coach with the Red Sox. Um, but yeah, that's not for me anymore. I'm no more.
Well, we're glad, as you say, you joined the dark side with
Yes.
us here in the media. You're awesome at it. We're glad to have you here at NESN, and that's going to be another episode of Sox Talk with Will Middlebrooks. Will, thanks as always. We'll see you again for another episode real soon.
Thanks, Greg.
PNC Bank, rooted in communities big and small.